Hey everybody, Brian Goulet here of GouletPens.com, sitting with Anna Reinert of the Well-Appointed Desk. And it's kind of cool that we're sitting together because we're both here at the Atlanta show in this very special room, basically for the first time meeting each other. We met like an hour ago, and we've been following each other for a number of years, and it's great to be able to sit down together. So thank you so much.
It's totally amazing. I can't believe we're in the same place at the same time.
I know, right? It's so fun. There's a lot of people at the Atlanta show, and we wanted to come here to be able to interview people just like Anna. So
you're kind of a big deal.
You're kind of a big deal. So we're kind of a big deal. But so those of you who don't know who Anna is, I would love for you to just tell a little bit about who you are and what is the Well-Appointed Desk.
The Well-Appointed Desk is a blog that I started about 5 years ago. Gosh, I haven't actually done the math in a while. That reviews office supplies from pens, inks, notebooks, stationery, some art supplies, and kind of anything else to make your office someplace beautiful to work.
So have you always been interested in stationery and writing supplies?
Yeah, pretty much. I was one of those little kids who was always really excited about the start of school and being able to go and buy my brand new office supplies, my new stationery. That was the best part, is being able to buy all my new notebooks and pencils and crayons. That was the best part of school.
So you don't talk a whole lot about your full-time job and what you do. In fact, I didn't even learn of it until like 10 minutes before we started recording this video. Rachel knew, but I didn't know. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Because you're so active on your blog and you're so active in social media that I don't think most people are aware that this is stuff that you're doing all in your free time. So tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, when I'm not online, I work as a graphic designer and Hallmark cards. I design greeting cards for a living.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, most people, it's one of those things. It's a very different kind of job, and I've been doing it for 15 years. My anniversary at Hallmark was this past Monday.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's wonderful.
I got a coffee cake.
Did they get you a card, is the question?
They did, actually. I got a card, and my husband.
All the places.
Yes. Oh no, cards are a big part of our celebrations at work.
Nice.
My husband gave me a card too.
That's wonderful. Was it one that you designed, maybe?
No, no.
That's cool. So since you're working full time and you obviously are in kind of like a designy type of job anyway, what importance do you find with writing instruments and office supplies in your actual doing of your full-time work?
Well, I do a lot of lettering work as part of my job. So I do a lot of calligraphy and hand lettering. So part of fountain pens has been an opportunity to use the tools to actually do my job, which is kind of fun. So ink and pens, big part of my day.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What kind of pens do you find are most helpful for you to actually do your work?
The pen that I probably use the most often is a platinum carbon desk pen.
Really?
I use the crap out of it.
That's a great pen, I gotta say.
I love it. $9 well spent.
Absolutely. Do you prefer the extra fine or the medium nib?
Extra fine.
Okay.
Yes.
There you go.
And I thought I didn't pack it for the trip here, and I actually had a moment where I was starting to get a little sweaty. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have it. And that's the kind of thing that people here would not have one, and I don't know what I'm going to do.
Somebody might have it.
Yeah, so.
I don't know.
But yeah.
Interesting.
I was a little concerned I didn't have it, but I found it. And I was like, okay, everything's fine. I was able to draw my coffee for breakfast this morning.
Nice. That's wonderful. So, let's say you're at work and you're taking notes in a meeting. Do you find that using a different pen can change the way that you take notes in that meeting?
I don't know. No, I kind of doodle in meetings.
Is that right?
Yeah, I doodle in meetings. So.
And I'm actually glad.
And I'm terrible because I don't think I've ever gone to a meeting where I only took one pen.
Oh, of course.
No.
I mean, that's just like is that what normal people do? I'm the same way.
I can't. If I've ever gone to a meeting that only had one pen, it would be like a pen that actually was a multi-pen, where it had more than one color.
Okay.
Otherwise, I couldn't do it.
I'm with you. I'm like sitting here doing this, and I have a pen clipped on my shirt, and I have one right in my hand. So you gotta have a backup, right?
You
always gotta have a backup. Very cool. Now, so when you're carrying multiple pens like that, are you keeping inked them up with different colors or different nibs, or what? What's the logic? What's the thought process behind the multiple pen thing?
Yes, it's definitely it's either color. It's definitely color, yeah. So there'll be like a black, something with black ink or a dark color, and then there'd be something with either like a gel or something to play with. And then usually there's a magic pencil in my world.
Okay.
Which is the multicolored lead pencil, which I love to play with.
Yes, I'm a little more ignorant to the pencil world because I'm like so deep in fountain pen world. Even the gel thing is not even as much as my thing. But you're a little more diverse, right? So I mean, what's your spread? So if you're carrying a case of pens, pencils, writing instruments, what's your ideal kind of setup?
Oh my gosh. The joke is that normally when I go to work, I carry I have a Kipling 100 pen case that actually has colored pencils, watercolor pencils, gel pens, watercolor brush pens, fountain pens, a set of watercolors, a couple of microns. I kind of got it all covered.
Wow, you really do have it all, don't you?
Yes, there's no situation that could not be handled.
You're just ready for anything.
Yeah,
right?
pretty much.
Absolutely.
Pretty much any drawing or lettering situation could be handled at any particular moment.
That's great. So because we're here in Atlanta, you're here with Pen Addict. You've been on many of the podcasts. So can you tell me a little bit about how you first kind of got linked up with Pen Addict and Brad and everybody involved there?
Brad and I have known each other for so long. I mean, I feel like we met so organically because we found each other like before I even started doing the well-appointed desk. I was doing like little tiny reviews on my personal blog, and he was still working for Jet Pens at the time, and so he would like leave comments on my blog, and it just sort of all happened really organically. So we've just been friends for years. We go back 7, 8, 9 years.
Wow.
So yeah, a long time.
That's really cool. So this is really kind of neat. So it's as much a celebration for you as for him.
Yeah.
This 200th episode.
Yeah, it is.
So how did that idea come about? Especially because this is a big deal. Like
the 200th episode?
Yeah.
It's Brad and Mike organized the whole thing. I just get to come along for the ride.
You joked earlier about being like the third wheel.
I am totally the third wheel. I'm the token girl.
There you go. Absolutely. You do a lot of blog posts, obviously, and you got a lot of good themed ones like Fashionable Friday. Do you find it's important to kind of put themes to your blog posts, or is it kind of more random and sporadic? What's your approach to that?
It's been in the last couple of years that I started to do theme posts, and I really only do 2 themes. On Wednesdays I do Link Love, and on Fridays I do Fashionable Fridays, although somehow Fridays tend to get away from me, and Fashionable Friday can often be fashionably late.
That's a good, nice little hook there.
Thank you. Sometimes it's Fashionable Saturday. But yeah, those are the 2. And for me, Link Love, I just kind of decided I needed a specific day to do that, to feature links from other blogs, to kind of help new blogs, other blogs, and just sort of recognize the rest of the community. And then Fashionable Friday got started because there was a whole stretch of a lot of everyday carry, lots of guys with their pocket knives and their tools.
And their flashlights.
And their flashlights. Yep. And I had a moment where I said, you know what? I want some nail polish and handbags.
There you go.
And so that's kind of how that started. Okay. And I thought it would just be fun to do things that were sort of color themed or seasonally themed. And so sometimes they kind of got a pop culture vibe for a while. So themed around television shows, or I'm kind of a big nerd. So like when I go to Comic-Con, they'll get a Comic-Con theme, a Star Wars theme, but and then sometimes they'll be very spring themed or around a fashion blogger. So they kind of
Nice.
take it whatever tangent I get into on a particular week.
Oh, that's fun.
So
That's fun. So how many of those would you say you've done at this point, probably?
I counted at some point, and I've done it for over 2 years, almost every week.
Wow.
So going on about 100 of them. Yeah. So there's a
Wow.
lot of them. So you can kind of go back, because somebody was asking me if I do a Star Wars one, and I'm like, already did one.
That's right.
So
An
and then,
updated one, you know?
so I've been thinking about doing one because I was so excited when The Force Awakens came on DVD. We ordered it and watched it the day it showed up. And,
Nice.
And I was still really sick. I came down with bronchitis a couple weeks ago, and so I was watching it and very medicated on NyQuil, so it was a little trippy.
Okay. Was it better on the NyQuil or not?
It was still really good. So.
Okay. Oh, that's great. So you've done a lot of fountain pen reviews as well. Can you tell me about some of the most outstanding ones, maybe both good and bad, that you've ever done?
Most outstanding. There have been so many. It's been so fun to just have an opportunity to try so many pens. I'm sure you've had the same experience. You try some that are very, very expensive, that are wonderful writers, and then some that are very, very inexpensive that are wonderful writers.
That's true.
And not good or bad from that standpoint. Like a wonderful $10 pen is just as exciting as a wonderful $200 pen. But my latest joy is a Lamy Joy.
Okay.
I just got one. Thank you, Liz Steele.
Ah, yes. Liz, yes.
So, and that one, which is really, for me, really exciting because I haven't always loved the Safaris, but I really like the weight and handling of the Joy.
Okay.
Somehow the weight is a little bit different. So
Yeah,
I
okay.
really liked it and have used the heck out of it since I got it.
Nice.
So yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So you mentioned that, the carbon black. Yeah. So it's
Long
interesting.
pointy ones. I don't know what it is.
You like the pointy pens?
I like
Yeah,
the
they're
long
kind
pointy
of the same
pens.
thing.
Yeah.
Have you used the Pilot Parallel? Because that's kind of the same thing, or the Pelican Scripts.
I have not tried the Pelican Script.
Yeah, that's got the similar kind of long thing going on with it.
I have some of the parallels, but because I'm left-handed, a lot of the really wide nibs, I'm a tragedy with.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they don't lay down a line for love or money.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, but I did find a video where someone had turned Parker blogs, turned them into folded nibs. So I'm going to try that with one of them.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
that's
that'll be
pretty
kind of
cool.
fun.
Okay. I haven't messed around much with folded nibs, but I've seen some really cool stuff done with them.
Yeah. Hey Matthew does some really cool stuff.
I was just about to shout out Hey Matthew, some like graffiti-looking art stuff.
Yeah.
Really cool stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah. So being left-handed, that's really interesting because, I get asked a lot about, hey, since I'm left-handed, I can't use fountain pens, or that's one of the common things. In fact, I actually had put out a video, even though I'm not left-handed, I put out a video specifically about using them left-handed. Hopefully I did a good job representing that because when I write left-handed, it just looks atrocious. But what limitations do you find, or does that really affect your pen choices or ink choices?
For me, I think the biggest thing is wider italic nibs become an issue because for a lot of lefties, especially if you do the sort of overhand,
Like the hook-handed.
the hook-handed, the Obama.
Yes.
Yes, it gets harder to get both of the tines to lay down properly,
Yes.
and so you're getting the tines they're kind of doing a little thing.
Gotcha.
So, but like a fine italic, most lefties shouldn't have an issue, no matter whether you write underhanded or overhanded.
Okay.
And fine, medium, broad, you shouldn't have any problem. And then the only other problem is how quickly you write. If you're going to smear,
Yeah.
if you're going to make a mess. And so that's a lot of times it's just the paper. I'm not a big fan of the Tomoe River because I end up smushing everything.
Oh yeah.
So I love that the paper.
It's such a wonderful paper, though.
It does. I like that it keeps the ink standing up very nicely, but it never dries for me. So I'd rather, Rhodia I have a better luck with.
Okay, I was going to ask, since paper is such a factor for you, what paper do you find works best? Just kind of a general all-around paper.
Yeah, for all of my ink testing, I use Rhodia, like all my pen and ink tests, Rhodia blank, and then I use one of my guide sheets underneath.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to pimp my own guide sheets.
Oh yeah, totally. Oh, you're gonna have to do it now because you've said in the video.
On my
Everybody's gonna
website-
hold you to it.
On my website, I have a little guide sheets section, which is just printable sheets that you can tuck underneath blank paper, and there's lined and gridded, and I have them in a bunch of different sizes.
That's wonderful.
So, and you just print them out and tuck them underneath,
That's
and
wonderful.
make your plain paper whatever you want it to be.
And it's great because people get it and they see it and they think that you're like some gifted in some way
Yeah,
because
look.
your writing is so perfectly
Perfectly
straight. And you're
straight.
like,
It's
I
not
don't know that I used a guide sheet and I kind of cheated.
And I've had a bunch of people ask me to do dot grid, and so I'm going to try to get that up at some point. And then I've had a couple requests for a couple different sizes, like some that'll fit in the Midori, the regular traveler's notebook, and then a couple other sizes. So eventually I'll get those up and add it in.
And I'll go ahead and add in there too, you should consider doing some dots in different than 5mm rulings too, because pretty much everybody has 5mm. So there's not a lot else in like a 4 or a 7 or something like that. So.
And that's what I did with the lined. The lined, I think I've got, I want to say like 6, 7, 10. I have a bunch of different ones because I was like, I found like the couple different sweet spots.
That's awesome. Good service to the community there.
Thank you.
That's awesome. And those are free, right?
Yep, totally. Download as many as you want.
You should go download those right now. Very cool. So when somebody is as into desk, supplies, writing supplies and stuff as you are, organization can start to maybe become an issue. I know this is something you've addressed a little bit, but what tips would you have for somebody that's, just getting into the writing supplies and it's starting to get a little out of control? Maybe what do you have? I don't have much advice in this way, but I'd love to hear what your thoughts are.
I actually just recently did a post. June Thomas from Slate asked in one of the last episodes that we did of the Pen Addict about it, and I did a post sort of about how I sort of organized my studio to because I live in a tiny little house. We joke it's a little double wide, the double wide in Brookside, little tiny house, but just trying to figure out how to get everything organized. One thing is we were blessed with an IKEA in Kansas City, which saved my bacon.
Yes.
Yay, boxes and little organizing things, and those little rolly carts.
Yeah.
That really helped. But one of the things that I use, and this caused a lot of consternation on the website, is I love those little tiny mason jars.
Oh, yeah.
And I sort all of my pens like a nerd by what types of pens they are. So brush pens, gel pens, different types of pencils in the jars. And then there's the whole question of up or down. Some pens shouldn't actually be stored.
Right.
But for me, in order for them to actually get used at all, if they're not out so that I can see them, they don't get used.
Gotcha.
So they're better off actually just being in jars, either up or down. Because if
do
they're in a
you have
drawer,
a preference one way or another, up or down? Or does it depend on the pen?
kind of depends on the pen. Most retractable gel pens usually get stored with the points down if they're capped. Actually, I usually store those down too, so that the ink goes down to the tip.
That makes sense.
And I'm trying to think. Brush pens, I'll store them if they're dual tipped, with the ink going down to my favorite tip.
Okay.
Pencils I store with the points up, but I don't have children, so I don't have to worry about anyone running into them. If I had kids, the tips would be down. But then I would put little felt pads at the bottom so that I wouldn't break the tips. So I keep them all out in little jars so that I can find them. But yeah, everything else, boxes, drawers, cupboards. And I give away a lot of stuff, and a bunch of my friends and I just did a big auction, and amongst ourselves sold off a bunch of stuff to fund a classroom in Detroit. We raised about $900.
That's awesome.
Of lots of excess supplies. So
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
super awesome. Yay, Ravelry.
Is that the first time you've done something like that? Like
Yeah.
organizing a fundraiser?
Uh-huh.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it because I didn't have to do any of the work.
I see.
I gave them all of my stuff,
Nice.
and they organized and did all of the hard work. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah.
That's cool. So you mentioned Ravelry. We talked about that a little bit before we started rolling the cameras. There's a huge following on Ravelry. You're also a knitter.
Yes.
So what is it? I'm just curious. What is it about knitting and pens that overlap? Because I don't knit. I know nothing about knitting really, but I'm just really curious because there's a huge fan base of pen users over on Ravelry.
I wonder if it's just also another hand activity, enjoying doing things with your hands, kind of crafty.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, but there's a huge community on Ravelry of there's several forums on Ravelry of pen fans and planner fans, and they're big fans of Goulet pens.
Yes, they are. I get told about that. I've actually had Ravelry on my radar since the earliest of days with Goulet pens. Because, I mean, Ravelry is huge. There's like a million different users on Ravelry?
Yeah. All over the world.
It's incredible. So, blows my mind. Makes fountain pens look like nothing. You know what I mean? There's a lot of knitters out there, but very cool. So, you're obviously involved in doing some like planning and organization kind of stuff. You mentioned planners with Ravelry. So do you have any, planners that you like to use on a regular basis?
I do have quite a collection of planners.
Okay. Would you consider yourself a planner, like a planner person?
Yeah, I guess I would.
You say that reluctantly.
I do. I say it reluctantly.
I'm a planner person.
I do, yeah. It's one of those things that I need a planner to keep myself organized. I tried to do it digitally, and it's not good enough. I need paper. And I have gone through a variety, like tried a little bit of everything.
Okay.
But I kind of always go back to Filofax. So I have several Filofax. I really like the original. I have an original teal personal size. That's my favorite. I also have a fluoro pink, and it is brighter than my hair. Like I literally opened the box, looked at it, and I'm like, that is too pink. And I closed the box, and I've never taken it out of the box. I'm like, it is so bright. I'm like, I don't think I can carry that. That is too pink. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that one. But it is so bright.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it is like, wow. Okay, that was brighter than I thought it was going to be.
Okay. So what is it about, because I think some people, with as much technology and digital stuff as there is, especially revolved around organization and communication, what is it about using a paper planner that's better for you than, an app or calendar or something like that, a digital thing?
I think it's the ability to be able to, being able to see more than one thing at a time. With an app, you really you've got like that sort of one cell or one event, where with a planner you can kind of do that whole thing where you're like flipping back and forth through pages, or you're looking at your whole week, or you're looking at your whole month, or you can look at your month and then flip to your week, and then look at your month, then flip to your week. So I like that flexibility. Heck, you can take the pages out and lay them all out on the table and look at,
It's very true.
several weeks, months at a time, and kind of sort out what it is you need to really get done. So.
Cool. I hadn't really thought about it like that.
Yeah, and that just the ability to not only do that, but then also decide what other content you need to have in there. I mean, if your life requires that you're organizing not just what you're doing, but also maybe what your children are doing, or what you've got your work stuff, and then you've got some sort of personal projects. You can have a section specifically for what that personal project is. So in my planner, I keep my work stuff, and then there's the blog stuff, and okay, what are the blog posts going to be for this week? How do I need to get those organized? Did I do the photos for them? Have I written the review? Did this item come in yet? Have I written it out? So I can kind of keep all that stuff, which most applications, they don't have, you can't set that stuff up unless you're setting up separate calendars. This is my blog calendar, and I'm like, on paper, I can organize it the way I want it to be organized, with as many sections or as few sections as I need.
That makes sense. Do you keep one main planner for everything, or do you have a whole separate planner for
Nope.
your blog life versus your work life?
No, I'm a one. If it were more than one book, it wouldn't nothing would get done.
Okay.
It'd be too much stuff to keep up with.
Is that kind of like Planner 101, or is it like some people like have like 6 different planners or something like that?
Some people, I think it works better for them to have multiples. Like if you have a job where you've got lots and lots of meetings and stuff, and you might have one book that you keep at work that's all just work stuff, and then you have your personal one that might have your doctor's appointments and your stuff your kids are doing. That's sort of totally separate, because you don't really need to have, like, if you're a lawyer, you don't need to have the meetings that you're having, between 9 and 5. Don't necessarily need to be in there.
Fair enough. So you're working a full-time job, and you also have a fairly active blogging schedule. Not to mention, kind of moonlighting with podcasts like the Pen Addict and stuff like that. So I imagine you're pretty busy. How do you keep yourself on top of all the various things that you have going on?
Well, that planner does come in handy.
So you're not just doing it for style. This is
this is not just
situation you got.
Yeah, usually like sometime on Sunday, I sit down and kind of have to sort of sort out like what are the posts going to be for the week for the blog, and try to plan that out. I try to get a lot of it done over the weekend to kind of plan that out. That's how doing Link Club on Wednesdays and knowing what I have coming up helps me just stay on top of everything. But I also get up really early in the morning. I get up early most days of the week, do blog stuff before I go to work, come home, do more blog stuff when I get home at night. Collapse.
What is early? How early is early for you?
I get up about 6, and then I'm at work at 9, and I work until about 7.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I work from 9 to 7. I work long days at Hallmark.
Yeah.
We eat at our desks.
Wow.
There's no lunch.
Those cards aren't going to design themselves.
No, they don't design themselves. Sometimes I can leave a little bit earlier. It depends like how crazy busy we are. Because sometimes, we can squeeze out by, 5:30, 6 o'clock if stuff gets done and out and everything. And then, I work till...
And then you go home and you go back and get to it again.
Yep.
Until like how late? I mean, is it all night kind of thing?
No, I try and, it's more checking email and, seeing if anything came in the mail, and do I need to put out any fires? Did anything blow up? Occasionally I'll get emails like, link broken, can't click,
That's never happened with us, I gotta say.
No, never. Everything works perfectly. Occasionally I have orders, because I do have a little side shop. So sometimes I have orders I have to fill and do that kind of thing in the evening.
So is it like, for you, obviously it's a ton of work, and you've been doing this for years. Like years. This isn't just like a fly-by-night kind of thing. Like you're really established in this now. So is it a part of your lifestyle, or is it like a supplemental income kind of thing? I'm just kind of curious, like how integrated is this to your life at this point?
It's probably more part of my life than necessarily a supplemental income. I do have lovely sponsors and lots of generous people who help me out and supply me with some products to review. But most of what comes in, both financially and in regards to things to review, tend to go back into just maintaining the site and keeping it running.
Gotcha.
I do have to pay for, hosting.
Costs money to do things?
I gotta host the site, and there's some cursory expenses that come along.
For sure.
I use a service to help manage just the actual ad space, and that actually costs me money. But what that does means that nothing gets messed up. I'm not responsible for anybody's credit card information or anything. That's all, which is nice.
Secure and protected.
Secure and protected, and nobody has to worry about any of that.
Can't be too safe with that kind of stuff these days.
Absolutely.
Seems like everybody's getting hacked into. But.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it also provides them with lots of the data, so they can track their own statistics and that kind of stuff, which I think is really cool. And that was why I really wanted to do it, is to be as transparent with anybody who did advertise with me as possible. Like, here's your numbers. You don't have to wait for me to tell you how many people actually clicked on your ad or
I mean, that's
visited
smart,
the
yeah.
site.
That's smart.
So, yeah.
Very cool.
Thanks.
Very cool. Since you have done blogging and you do a lot of the link love, I know from personally, I used to do that kind of stuff, and I had a hard time actually keeping up with it, so I stopped doing it years ago. Because you got to look at what everybody else is doing. Like, it's a big commitment of time. So what is your process there? Do you have like specific blogs that you always check, or do you have some kind of like, reader that sends you stuff based on links? I'm kind of curious how you keep up with all them.
I follow probably about 100 blogs on Feedly.
Okay.
They all run through Feedly, and I go through them every week.
One by one?
One by one.
Wow.
Yeah, it is. And I know a lot of other people like you and like Brad have just said, hey, it's a super time consuming. So there's not a lot of people who still do it, and
that's true. It used to be, I feel like a lot more people used to do that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. There's some new people who have come in now and have started to do it.
Okay, well they'll figure out soon enough. It's
It's
hard to keep up with.
It is it's an event to do it, but I like to do it, and I feel like it does come back to the community. I've had a couple people say it's the one, like, that's the one that I get like clicks from, and I'm like, okay, great. That proves to me that it was worth my time to bring like somebody who maybe is not as well known a little bit of traffic.
That's really cool. That's really cool. And the thing that I hope everybody here is able to understand is really, you're not doing this. I mean, I'm a retailer, so like this is how I make my living is doing this kind of stuff. So it's a little more obvious that like, yeah, I'm kind of incentivized to do things for the community. But you're really just doing this because you love it. And I'm hoping that's going to come across here, because
I hope so.
It's a ton of work. I mean, a ton of work to do what Anna's doing here. So mad props to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It is much appreciated by me and everybody in the community. So what are some other bloggers that you feel, if you had to give maybe your top 5, I don't know, that you see? Am I putting you on the spot there?
It is so hard.
Others that you follow, or maybe just ones that you find kind of personally interesting that maybe is not even, pen related. I mean, maybe that's all you follow. I don't know. It sounds like you got your hands full just with those ones. But do you have anybody else that you kind of want to show?
I do actually follow some people that are not necessarily pen specific.
Okay.
I did mention Liz Steele. She's one of my favorite new
fantastic.
additions to my Feedly. She's a
Urban sketcher.
Urban sketcher. And she does wonderful watercolor sketching.
Mm-hmm. She's
fun.
Fantastic. She's a hoot.
And I mentioned earlier Lisa Congdon, who's another artist and illustrator who I love. Her work is beautiful. And I've mentioned her a couple times in Link Love because she occasionally will mention the tools that she likes to use to do her paintings and stuff, which is always kind of fun to see what artists use. Because sometimes their materials are fun. And she dabbles in, like, she'll sketch and then add gel pen to her art, and you're like, hey, wow, that's crazy, cool.
Yeah, like I never thought of doing that.
Yeah,
or sometimes I've even seen some artists that will like make their own things. Like, I got a piece of bamboo and carved it and did this crazy thing. You're like, never knew that was possible.
Yeah,
really cool.
Those are really fun. And my friend Sandy Devaney, who does Creatively Curated, and she's been doing her Sandy Doodles on Instagram. She's another Hallmarker. I'm going to throw props out.
Hallmarker, is that what you call yourselves?
Yes, we're called Hallmarkers.
Hallmarkers, okay. It's very appropriate.
So, and she does wonderful illustrations, and she's also Kooky Colored Hair Girl.
Nice, nice.
And her young daughter just dyed her hair blue. There's some wonderful pictures on Instagram.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's a great picture of her daughter going, because she now has blue hair too. She's about 6 or 7.
I've seen a few people here at the Atlanta show with
fun colored hair
like that. Yeah, very interesting contrast to some of the, fishing vest wearing gray-haired individuals that we've also seen.
We're breaking up the fishing vest.
It's nice to see the bright-haired, folks walking around, mixing things up a little bit. Yeah. Nice to get some fresh blood in these pen shows. It's really cool.
So that was only 3, but.
Yeah, that's all right. One thing I feel I should mention at this point, we talked about this off camera, but I used to work at Hallmark back when I was 16 years old. I was a card restocker, and I would ring people up and give them the gold stickers and all that kind of stuff. So just thought that'd be kind of interesting to throw in there. So we have a bond there that not many might share at this pen show. So I was really interested about sketchnoting. So I want to talk about sketchnoting, and I've even seen some articles recently, not calling it sketchnoting necessarily, but talking about doodling and how just doodling can help you cognitively to better retain things that you're learning when you're taking notes. So I would love to hear your take on that.
I had a really great opportunity last year to attend one of Mike Rohde's sketchnote workshops, which was a great opportunity because he has such a great perspective on using basically kind of visual note-taking as a way to sort of process information more visually instead of just writing out everything somebody says. And it's kind of a combination of a bit of what people kind of talk about with bullet journaling, of using some symbols to help sort of create your own key as you're listening to a lecture or in your meeting, taking notes, to sort of call things out in a way and kind of creating your own set of symbols. And I was talking to someone downstairs because they're like, oh, I don't know how to draw. Like, I could never do sketchnoting. I'm an accountant. And I said, you can make symbols. It's not, if you have something that's time sensitive, you can draw a clock. You just draw a circle and make like a little L shape, and that looks like 3 o'clock, right? Mm-hmm. So now you have a symbol for time that you could put in your notes that suggests, hey, this is a time sensitive event, and then you can put the additional information, and then now you have a symbol. It doesn't have to be really super complicated, Yeah. If it's a home-related event, you can draw a box with a little, triangle on top. It's house. We all learned how to draw little box houses when we were kids, and now you have a house-related or a personal-related item, And these are the types of things that Mike sort of talked about in his book too. That's like real simple imagery and symbols that can help kind of add something to your notes, add something to your bullet journal that will help kind of give you quick visual symbols where you're not having to write out, when I get home, I need to do this thing. Mm. You can just draw your little house and be like, okay, you gotta mow the lawn. Draw little tiny, it can be very like stick figure kind of stuff. Yes. Really simple, easy to understand.
That's more of my alley, the stick figure thing, yeah.
Yeah, and he just, in his book, he has a great little diagram of how he does stick figures. He literally will start with like a little stick figure, and then he'll kind of just darken the stick figure until it's more like fleshed out. And he makes like little running people. They're so great. His book is so fun, and he really presents it in a way that makes it not seem scary, not seem like I have to have an art degree to sort of mastermind this kind of thing.
I think that's one thing, particularly when you're getting into like any kind of artwork or drawing. I know Liz Steele was kind of like that with the urban sketching. Mm-hmm. She had kind of that similar kind of message of like, just start, just try it, it doesn't have to be magical. And I know with handwriting too, using flex pens and calligraphy and all that kind of stuff, it can be really intimidating, especially when you see stuff on Instagram and it looks unbelievable and you're like, well, I'm never even gonna try.
But really, drawing an A is a ball and a line. Like, you just gotta just keep doing it until it's your ball and your stick and ball are even. Just practice.
Yeah. Very cool, that's interesting. In terms of your online presence, your blog, it seems like is your main place to be. Mm-hmm. Where else is places where people can follow you if they're interested in seeing what you're up to?
You can find me on Instagram at APPT desk. Mm-hmm. And right now I've been doing the Rock Your Handwriting Challenge, which I've been trying to post every day. Some days better than others.
Might be fashionably late on some days,
right?
Yeah,
fashionably late on those too. And I'm on Twitter also as APPT desk. And that's mostly where you can find me. You can follow the Well-Appointed Desk on Facebook. I'm not so good on Facebook, but if you prefer, you can get the the posts there as well. And there is a matched thread for the Well-Appointed Desk on Tumblr. So if you like Tumblr, you can follow it on Tumblr as well. And it's, just look it up. I think it's Well-App Desk on Tumblr as well. So.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. I know video is not normally your thing, but I think you did a phenomenal job here.
Thank you.
Really, this
Thanks
has been an
so much.
absolute pleasure. You're very welcome.
Thank you so much. It's been so much fun.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So hope you all have enjoyed it too. Be sure to follow Anna and all the wonderful things that she's up to. We'd love to hear what you think. So go ahead and leave your comments on YouTube or on our blog, and be sure to share it out, because this is awesome stuff, and it's not that often that the two of us get to be in the room together. So it's really a kind of a fun experience for us as well. And this is the first day of the show that we're recording this, so we got lots more fun to do. And I'm really excited to get to hang out with you all weekend.
I can't wait to see the rest of the interviews you guys do.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
Lots of cool people.
Yes. A lot of people
Way
at
more
Atlanta this year.
interesting than me.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I don't know. Brad, Mike,
Yeah.
Dan Bishop.
Dan Bishop from Karis Customs. Yep.
You're going to lay Reyes?
We'll see. We'll see. She's not coming in until Saturday night. So.
I know, but she's a goddess.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, we'll Snapchat, Periscope, something. We're going to get something.
All right.
Don't worry about that.
Okay.
But anyway, thank you all so much. If you aren't subscribed to us already, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and follow what else we're doing. You can also check out gouletpens.com, and be sure to check out the Well-Appointed Desk. Thanks so much, and right on.